Is there a discussion to be had about Steph Curry over Tim Duncan in the top 10 NBA?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro Kamado, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. Hey, everybody, I'm a nerd, so I'm going to say it right now. Happy Revenge of the Fifth Day. For those of y'all who are in a Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Fifth, you get it. Anyway, being a nerd, regardless, hope everybody's having a good Friday, and welcome back to Locked On Spurs. And like always, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube and on the Kens 5 Plus app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. What are we talking about today? Was you heard? Our good friend Mike Jimenez over at San Antonio Sports Star brought up a topic of discussion. He's going to make that very clear. That should Steph Curry win another title, they may push Tim Duncan out of the top 10 all-time NBAers. Yeah, we're going to get his thoughts on that and also his thoughts on the current NBA playoffs. Let's go and welcome him in. He is Michael Jimenez, San Antonio Sports Star's very own, and apparently, I guess he doesn't have the pulse of the city. Welcome, Michael Jimenez.
What's going on? You went full nerd this morning when it's Cinco de Mayo. You didn't go that route.
I didn't go that route. All right, so let's go and get that out of the way then. Happy Cinco de Mayo as well, everybody. But hey, it's two for the price of one. It's Revenge of the Fifth Day and then Cinco de Mayo. By the way, you're going to be taking it easy today on Cinco de Mayo or nah?
Yeah, I'll probably take it easy. Got a big weekend ahead. Going to be moving my daughter out of college, so got to take it easy today.
Ooh. Wait, so you're bringing her back, or she's done with college?
She has one more semester left,
okay.
But her semester ends today, so I'm going to go move her out and drive her all the way back from Louisiana.
Let me guess. She goes to LSU, as you always say.
That's right.
Halftime with Jimenez and Spence.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. All right. Well, Jimenez, welcome back, as always. You're one of the fan favorites here at Locked On Spurs for your hot takes and your thoughts that you share on the Star. And we're going to get into your point of discussion regarding Steph Curry versus Tim Duncan, top 10 players. But before we do that, I want to get your thoughts on the current NBA playoffs. They've been exciting, I got to say. They haven't been snoozers. They really, the recent Knicks game, the win, that was great. The start of the Warriors-Lakers series has been good. Has anything stood out for you in these playoffs?
Yeah, what's standing out right now is that every team has a major flaw. And because of that, with the 8 teams that remain, there is not a single favorite out there. I don't care what Vegas says by saying that Boston's the favorite right now, or maybe the Lakers. Every single team has a flaw, whether it be an injury or lack of experience. There's something interesting going on with the NBA playoffs, but I know that right now in the Western Conference, the series that I'm focusing the most on right now is Lakers-Warriors, because out of all 4 series that still remain, that's the one that's most exciting to me.
Yeah, and obviously, connects to our next topic we'll get into in a while, with Curry possibly winning another title. But yeah, I've been impressed with these NBA playoffs. Obviously, New York City is my adopted home as well, and to see and feel the vibe in New York City, going crazy over the Knicks is just good. I think the last time the Knicks were sort of relevant was '99. I mean, has it been that long when they took on the Spurs in the finals? Because
exactly.
they had a quick visit in the playoffs before this one, but they really haven't been relevant. So to see New York enjoying a playoff run, hopefully for them, has been great, and especially living it as well. I want to get your thoughts too on this. The Celtics, they don't look as the favorites as many think they were. You mentioned Vegas. I thought once the Bucks were eliminated, that's it. It's Boston's for the taking, and it really hasn't been. They got some issues.
They do have issues. They lost game 1, even though the MVP Joel Embiid was out because of an injury. I mean, James Harden went off in game 1. Celtics rebounded in game 2. They looked really good in game 2. I mean, they ran the Sixers off the floor. And it's kind of weird because it's like, are the Sixers better when they have only one of Joel Embiid or James Harden? Can they actually make a run when they're out there on the court together? But the Sixers are a very fascinating team to watch because they've got some star power over there. Beyond those two, they've got Tyrese Maxey. And you would think that on paper, Philadelphia would be the team to make it through the East.
Yeah.
But there's just something wrong there. James Harden always wets the bed in the playoffs. He always does something where he gives up, and I'm waiting for that annual give up. Here are the things that happen annually in the NBA in the playoffs. You have James Harden giving up on his team. Hasn't happened yet, but let's say that they're in an elimination game. It could happen then. CP3 getting injured happens all the time.
All the time,
and I'm still waiting for Anthony Davis to get hurt because that seems to happen every year too.
I know when I talk about CP3, I always get a kick out of, and I think you agree with me on this one, how when TP was playing and they would still put Chris Paul over TP, yet TP had the better resume. Like that baffled me. That just baffled me. But you're right. CP3 out again. Shocker there. Somebody asked me recently, like, who do you think is going to win it all, or at least get to the finals for sure? And my answer was, I don't know. If you're going to tell me, you were telling me the Lakers, okay, I can buy that. You're going to tell me the Heat for sure. It wasn't too long ago they went to the finals at the bubble. Yeah, the Celtics, sure. But about the only one that maybe I'm not so strong about, maybe the Knicks, but that's about it, Jimenez.
And lurking in the shadows right now, the Denver Nuggets, who are just the 1 seed and dominating the Western Conference semis right now.
They remind me of
shadows. No one's paying attention to them.
And they remind me of the Spurs a lot. Every time they were in the playoffs, they would be like, "What? The Spurs are in the finals?" That's who they remind me of a lot of. But Joker's been playing great, and I never thought that Aaron Gordon would have an impact on the team the way he's having with the Nuggets. It's just really been good basketball for those that are still tuning in, despite the Spurs not in it. But who do you think, if you had to put money down, who do you think are the two teams that represent their East Conference when it's all said and done?
Well, I kind of think, as of right now, that the Lakers-Warriors series is the true Western Conference Finals. And I kind of feel like the Sixers-Celtics series is the true Eastern Conference Finals, because I believe the teams that win both of those series are going to meet in the finals. Denver being a team that is lurking in the shadows right now, taking care of business, they haven't had the spotlight shine on them yet.
Yeah.
And they're enjoying the fact that CP3 is not going to be there for another week. I mean, by the time CP3 is healthy enough to play, the season might be over for the Suns.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Lakers-Warriors as whoever wins that one's going to the finals. I'm looking at the Sixers-Celtics. Whoever wins that series is going to the finals. Jimmy Butler, though, for the Heat, though, has been amazing. And had this argument with Spence the other day on our show, talking about the fact that there's a regular season Jimmy and then there's playoff Jimmy. And regular season Jimmy is a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA. But playoff Jimmy is top 5. And for him to go out there and get hurt was disappointing. The Heat almost won game 2 without him.
Right.
They were, the tie game with like 2 minutes to go. They almost won that game without him. So it's interesting when you see the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat, because really no one believes in either of those teams, but all they're doing is taking care of business when healthy.
Right. Yeah. I got Denver coming out still. I think they might be there at the end of the day. And God, I'm still hanging on the Celtics. I still think they can do it. Still think they can do it, but it's going to be definitely interesting. So a lot of people are probably thinking like, well, why are we talking about everything else but the Spurs? Well, because a team/player are still hunting for a ring, and that is Steph Curry. He has 4 titles right now, and he gets another one this season. That's 5. Very, you're right there with Tim Duncan. And should that happen, is there an argument or a discussion to be had that Steph Curry bumps Tim Duncan out of the top 10 all-time NBA players? We're going to get into that right now with Michael Jimenez. of San Antonio Sports Star. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Mike ESPN SA. Hey, before we get into the fireworks, I want to talk to you about eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to the My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts, to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. He is the co-host of Halftime with Jimenez and Spence. Follow him on Twitter at Mike ESPN SA. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. On next week's show, we got a dandy for you. You're going to want to hear the other side about Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, should be interesting. So tune in for that next week. So Jimenez, you definitely riled the fan base up. Shocking. No shock there. That on your show, Halftime with Jimenez and Spence, you brought up a point of discussion, table talk, if you will, that should Steph Curry get another ring, that'll be 5. Ties him with Tim Duncan. And if that happened, that bumps Tim Duncan out of the top 10 NBA players of all time. Jimenez, take the floor. Why did you bring this up? Why is it even a point of discussion? Why even mention it, and especially here in San Antonio?
Well, some clarification, okay? It's funny because people think that this is a hot take, as though I manufactured it, thought about it overnight, and then presented it on air. Oftentimes what people accuse me of having a hot take is just something that I'm just talking about, and it just comes up organically, and this was one of them. I don't believe that Steph Curry bumps Tim Duncan out of the top 10 because Duncan is not number 10, okay? Duncan, in my eyes, is number 5 all-time NBA. You know, I have number 1, you know, being Jordan and Kareem, and I have players that are a few players above Duncan. I don't think that he gets bumped out, but what I brought up the point was, if you look at the players of the 21st century, right, the greatest players of the 21st century, that'd be Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and LeBron James, right? So those are the 4 big guys in the 2000s. How do you rank them from each other, right? And then you put that into the overall mix of all-time NBA. And a lot of people will say that LeBron James is maybe the GOAT or the second of all time. And I'm kind of perplexed by that because Duncan owned LeBron in the finals, and Steph Curry has owned LeBron in the finals.
Yep.
And I know that LeBron got one against the Spurs, and I know that LeBron got one over the Warriors, but still, when you just take a look at the numbers, LeBron being 4 and 6 in the finals, I still can't wrap my head around him being the number 1 great, or maybe even being the number 2. That I don't get. The point I was trying to make is that we're sleeping on Steph Curry. Steph Curry, 4 rings, could have 5. If he has 5, does that put him above Tim Duncan when it comes to the all-time rankings? Is what I brought up, and I believe it does. And a lot of Spurs fans don't want to hear that, and I don't want to say that. I don't want that to happen, because in my heart, Tim Duncan's a top 5 all-time player because he's the greatest power forward of all time. But what I'm trying to say is that from a national media perspective, I can just see ESPN, you know, Get Up and Stephen A. Smith and all those guys coming out there and saying, here's my rankings of the all-time greats, and I can see Steph Curry being elevated from top 15, top 20 of all time to maybe even top 5. And a lot of people are just baffled by my comment when it comes to that. I'm just letting you know, if Steph Curry wins another ring, that is going to happen. And a lot of Spurs fans will get upset by saying, well, you know, Duncan has more this and Duncan has more that, and Duncan played longer at 50-win seasons. And I'm letting you all know it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because San Francisco is a bigger market than San Antonio, and the national media will eat that up, and that'll be the narrative whether we like it or not. I'm just showing you something or telling you something that's there, that could happen. And if it does happen, not only does Steph Curry elevate in a national consciousness above Tim Duncan, he elevates above Kobe Bryant too.
Interesting. So let me make this, let me help me understand this. Your point is not that Tim Duncan falls out of the top 10. It's just that Curry just rises or is ranked above him within the top 10. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I just want to make that sure I heard that clear. Now, they would definitely be tied in titles, ring count, if that does happen. But I think I get what you're trying to say is you're trying to prepare the fan base for that because it's probably likely going to come. But you also did, I understand it correct. You said you agree. Did you say you agree about elevating him above Tim Duncan within the top 10?
As of right now, Duncan's above Curry. Curry gets another ring.
Okay.
Curry's the finals MVP. Then he kind of does jump over.
Okay.
Yeah, he does.
What
and
if
the reason why I say that is because this. Look at is this. They may be tied in rings, but it took Tim 15 years to get those rings. It took Curry, 10 years? And in those rings that Duncan has, Parker was the finals MVP in 2007. Kawhi was finals MVP in 2014. And you're going to see that Curry would more than likely be the finals MVP for this one and be the finals MVP for most of their title runs. It's an argument to be had there on both sides. Now, if you want to present an argument saying that Duncan is greater than Steph, it's not something that is out of the realm of possibility. You can have a legit argument when it comes to that. But what I'm trying to say is that for those who believe that Curry would be greater than Duncan, that Curry would be greater than Kobe Bryant at that point in the hierarchy of the all-time greats, Curry has a legit argument. And I think it's automatic that he vaults over Kobe Bryant. It's whether he vaults over Tim Duncan, and you can have that argument and be very legit.
Yeah, it's I hear what you're saying, but I do disagree as of right now that he's greater than Tim Duncan. If he does tie it, well, definitely that discussion will come up. But even if it does happen, it's just tough for me to agree with that because I think Tim Duncan had a better all-around impact than Curry did.
Dude, nobody's trying to become the next Tim Duncan.
Okay,
everyone's
fine.
trying to become the next Steph Curry.
But I'm pretty sure if well, you know what? Hold that thought. When we get back, we're going to wrap up this topic right here with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. You can let him know your thoughts on Twitter about his take/opinion here on Twitter, as mentioned, at Mike ESPN SA. Oh, Jimenez loves those Twitter engagements, especially his last poll about having the pulse of San Antonio. When we get back, we're going to continue this talk right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers. Did you stay up late last night? Do you need a pick-me-up? Look no further than Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Mudslingers is locally owned and an independent coffee shop, and they're proud to make delicious coffee for our community. They do it fast and friendly so you get on with your day. So if you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, or a Red Bull-infused lightning bolt, ooh, those are strong, by the way, Jimenez. I'm going to let you know now. If you ever go to Mudslingers, Jimenez, and you get that.
I never have.
Well, I recommend you go and get that Red Bull-infused lightning bolt right now. You'll definitely have enough energy throughout the entire day. Look, they have drinks for every taste. They have over 300 5-star reviews. Can't be wrong. They also have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, even caffeine-free drinks for when you want to just take it easy. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee for a tasty and convenient caffeine fix. Located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive near 21 and 1604. They're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at MudslingerSTX. Life is too short for bland coffee. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. Follow him on Twitter at Mike ESPN SA. He'll talk about his show, Halftime with Jimenez and Spence, in just a few minutes. So, Jimenez, as we're right before the break, I brought up about having all-around impact on the court. And I think Tim Duncan did that more so than Curry is doing that right now on both ends of the court. And you said, like, nobody's trying to beat Tim Duncan. But That's fine. But if you were to ask a GM which team you want to start with, I think they would likely lean Tim Duncan. Your thoughts?
No, they would want Steph Curry. It's the year
I disagree with
2023,
that.
dude.
I disagree with that.
It's the year 2023, my man. Tim Duncan was the greatest player for about 15, 20 years of his time because that was the way basketball was being played. I mean, take a look at this, man. The Warriors played the Lakers in Game 2, shot the ball 53 times from 3. Game 2, Celtics and the Sixers. Celtics shot, I believe, 52 three-point attempts. The game has changed, and the game changed because of Steph Curry. Now, real fast, go back, and I want to go back and just make one other comment from the last segment real fast. One argument that you can have in favor of Tim Duncan over Steph Curry is the fact that Duncan was a 3-time Finals MVP. When it came to Steph Curry, Durant won it twice and Iguodala won it one time. So you can say, well, they have 5 rings, but he only has 2 Finals MVP. Great. But right now, as the direction of where the NBA is going, it's not going towards fundamental basketball, post-up moves, and things like that. It is going towards the three-point line, and it's been like that for the last 10 years because that is what Steph Curry has brought to the table, the Splash Brothers and all of them. And right now, I've officiated high school basketball for 12 years. When I go to a basketball court, whether it be on college level or high school level, guess what they're doing? They're pretending to be Steph Curry. They're not pretending to be Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is a great player, one of, I believe, a top 5 player of all time. But if you want to say an overall lasting legacy, it's Steph Curry. And I know that Spurs fans don't want to hear that, and it's kind of hurtful to say that, but it's reality. Right now, when you rack and stack the greatest players of all time, Tim Duncan is above Steph Curry. And in my eyes, Tim Duncan's above Kobe Bryant. But get that 5th ring, and you get it in 9 or 10 years as opposed to 15 years. It's a different type of era. It's a different type of dynasty. And the national media would elevate Curry above Duncan. And I love Tim Duncan. He's the greatest Spur of all time. If I live another 40, 50 years, I can look back, Tim Duncan would still be the greatest Spur of all time. But Curry is the truth when it comes to basketball the last 10, 15 years. And I believe that Steph Curry gets another ring, is not only vaulted above Kobe, probably above Tim. You can even make the argument that he's above LeBron.
Look, it's so close, too, that Steve Kerr actually compares Steph Curry to Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
He says Steph Curry is like Tim Duncan. It's not the other way around. This is Steve Kerr who played with Duncan and is coaching Steph Curry. I still go back to that argument, though, that if you ask a GM who you want to start a team with, I think they'll pick Tim Duncan over Curry. It's not because the era of the big man is dead. It's not. There's still Joker. There's still Embiid, who's the reigning MVP.
The era of the big man is dead.
It's
Dude,
not.
it's dead. There's 5 big guys in the NBA. Dude.
Right now is a big man, Embiid. The runner-up is a former MVP, back-to-back Joker.
Yeah, Joker has so many rings.
But my point is, like, if we're just talking about the era, you're talking about the era of the 3, then right now the big man era, I think it's still alive and well based on just MVP awards that have been given out, the position, big man. And I think if Tim Duncan was playing right now, he would probably be getting MVP still over a guy like Steph Curry. But it's definitely an interesting topic, and I'm glad you brought it up because I definitely lit the fires on Spurs social media. But Jimenez, I hear what you're saying. The 3 happy era of the NBA, Steph Curry fits all that. But then you also look at just individually, a near quadruple for Tim Duncan in the NBA final setting. There's the countless all-stars. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if they're tied or close, or if Tim Duncan leads Steph Curry.
Well, they're not going to be close. They're not going to be close because Tim Duncan played 20 years. Almost 20 years. And
yeah,
Steph Curry hasn't been in the league. And if we're trying to hang our hat on longevity, then that's a losing argument. I mean, when you go to that argument, you've already lost.
I don't know if you lost. I think it's just
it's a 5
point.
rings in 10 years is better than 5 years and 15.
But that's no fault of Tim Duncan or Steph Curry's, because Tim Duncan was a 4-year college kid before he made the leap. So if he pulled
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
one and done thing, that's 3 extra years right there. Who knows what he could have done? Just like
it
Steph
doesn't
Curry
matter.
was in Davidson. If he left early, he probably could have been racking up more stats.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because if we're going to go like, well, he has 15 All-Star appearances, 18 All-Star appearances compared to 12. Well, 18 is better than 12. No, because if you are doing more over a short period of time compared to someone who's doing more or doing just as much over a longer period of time, the impact is greater when it's done over a shorter period of time. I mean, what is considered to be the greatest rock band of the last 35 years? It's Nirvana, right? Did Nirvana have a 30-year career? Did Nirvana have the career of Red Hot Chili Peppers in length, or of Metallica in length, or of whatever? Like, Metallica is one of the all-time greats, so maybe that's a bad example there. What I'm trying to say is that if you can catch lightning in the bottle over a 5 to 10 year period, and just churn out hit after hit, or in this case, title after title after title, it's more impactful. It's more meaningful in the eyes of many sports fans. May not be in the eyes of the area code 210, but in the national consciousness, that is where the conversation will go. And there is I don't want it to be true, but it's going to be true if Steph Curry wins yet another one. And that dynasty that they have there would be considered a greater dynasty than the Spurs dynasty. I don't care how many 50 wins the Spurs had.
I think that's a part of it too. If there's an argument to be made, you have to factor everything in, even winning percentage. Steph Curry currently has a 65% winning percentage. Tim Duncan ended his career with a 71% winning percentage,
and
so that's a factor. That's a factor in discussing this.
And
five
titles in 10 years, 5 and 15.
Tim Duncan got 5 too.
That matters.
Oh, I don't know if it's scoreboard.
He got 5. He got 5, but he got it in 15 years. It's different, man. I'm telling you, you can have I'm not trying to say that I necessarily 100% believe that Steph Curry is a better player. But what I'm saying is that the argument is so great on Curry's side that it's a legit debate to have. It's not where you scoff at it and go, I mean, please. That's not even a joke. Is this a joke of a question? It's not a joke of a question. It's legit. And at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is this. If Curry gets another ring, you're going to have Tim with 5, Kobe with 5, Curry with 5, and LeBron with 4. And yet LeBron is in the conversation for being one of the 2 greatest players of all time. BS.
There you go. He is Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at MikeESPNSA. Love to hear your thoughts about this Tim Duncan, Steph Curry debate top 10. Here, we want to hear it. I know Jimenez definitely wants to hear it because he'll probably bring it up on halftime with Jimenez and Spence. So tell us what's going on with the Star and your show, Jimenez and Spence.
Oh, man, we're getting ready for the NBA lottery.
Yes.
The draft lottery coming up in a week and a half or so. So we're still getting amped up for that. I'm hyperventilating. I'm taking paper bags into the studio because I'm still freaking out about it all. 52% chance of getting a top 4 pick, and we tend to lose coin flips, and 52% chance sounds like a coin flip to me. We're due to win a coin flip. Let's get this one. So that's the next thing that we're focusing on is the NBA lottery and where that happens. After that, we're getting excited about going to Oxnard, California for Dallas Cowboys camp. But the show goes from 12 to 3. Obviously we talk a lot of sports. We do a lot of music talk as well from time to time. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions, or the inductees were announced this week. We're still trying to figure out how and why Sheryl Crow made it.
Cyndi Lauper, why is she not in it?
Cyndi Lauper's not in it. Phil Collins is not in it.
Yeah, now I'm baffled at that one.
But my boy George Michael made it. So I love me some George Michael, baby. Faith,
the Bee Gees are in it, right?
What's that?
The Bee Gees are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
I'm pretty sure the Bee Gees are.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That would be blasphemy. And that would be scoffing that debate there. But once again, Make sure to tune into San Antonio Sports Star and check out Jimenez and Spence. By the way, great poll, man. I was picking on you about that throughout the show. I love that Pulse of the City thing. That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Can I talk about that for a brief second with us?
And yeah, well, before you do, I had no idea that was even going on until Pleasure texted me. He's like, "Did you see the poll today?" I went, "What?" And I looked and was like, "Oh no!" That was my reaction. Oh no, Jimenez, what did you do?
People ask the question how you and I are friends, as though I'm a big jerk or something like that, man. Dude, I don't try to get a rise out of people. Everything that happens on our show when it comes to the quote-unquote hot takes happen organically. I don't sit there going, I'm going to say this and I'm going to piss people off. It just comes out of my mouth, and then all of a sudden I say Steph Curry might be elevated above Tim Duncan, and the world gets set on fire on Spurs Twitter, right?
San Antonio.
So I didn't write that down in a journal and go, okay, this is what I'm going to say. So I guess maybe just naturally I piss people off. But the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes when you have a conversation piece and you believe that something is true, if someone doesn't agree with you, I'm not here to try to conform to what people want to hear. You know, I don't try to piss people off on purpose, but I'm also not going to kiss people's butt either to try to get them to like me, you know. But, you know, that poll about Pulse of San Antonio, that came out organically because I said something. I said that phrase. I said, I have the Pulse of San Antonio. And Pleasure started laughing. He might have said it. I forgot either one. But long story short, you know, it's funny, the engagement on social media on Spurs Twitter, because I think it's hysterical. I think it's funny. And if people bag on me, it's so funny. People come up on YouTube going, man, I can't stand listening to this guy. And yet they listen every day. So
they love you, Jimenez. They love you.
Yeah, I think secretly I'm loved. It's just no one wants to say it. But the only one who does is Jeff Garcia.
That's right. Yeah. I don't catch that where people say or question how you and I are friends. I miss those. I don't see those, but yeah, no. Make it very clear. Mike Jimenez is a very good friend of mine. We go out every time I'm in San Antonio. So yeah, you know, I don't know if that comes on, but you know, Mike is a really good sport about things. He knows his stuff, and I've been impressed with your evolution of your. I love your impression. Dog owner. You're definitely a great dog owner there. Yeah, you don't rile up fans with that or San Antonio with that. By the way, of all the comparisons you picked to say in San Antonio, you said you're a winner like Santa Ana. That was just wrong. That was just wrong. I think I mentioned it on y'all's YouTube or something, or I texted Pleasure. I forgot. I mentioned it to somebody, and I was like, of all the ones you pick comparison to be a winner about, it's that one, Santa Ana.
The way that came out was someone, we were giving out tickets for the person who could roast me the best, and someone said, Michael has the Pulse of San Antonio like Santa Ana does.
Oh, that's how it came
at the Alamo. And that's what I responded back with. Well, like Santa Ana in San Antonio, I'm a winner.
Can't wait for you to rile up San Antonio again. You're probably going to go at breakfast tacos next.
San Antonio, legit tacos in San Antonio, man. West and South side only.
Absolutely. Once again, he is Michael Jimenez, San Antonio Sports Star. He is on Twitter at MikeESPN. I say, hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, YouTube, and on the Kens 5 Plus app. So for Michael Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're putting a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.